I was enthralled by how well you were able to do it without pausing, so well done. I suppose the first thing I want to say is that I'm pleased to be contributing to this debate on this very essential piece of legislation. And I suppose it is groundbreaking that we have to do this because of the decisions of others. It is absolutely vital that we put in place a contingency for the possibility of the United Kingdom crashing out of the European Union without a deal. It is our preferred option that it would be a managed and agreed Brexit. But even with an agreed Brexit, the exact consequences of Britain leaving the European Union is still a matter of concern. However, I am pleased that this government has prepared for all eventualities, and the bill bears testimony to that. A huge amount of work has gone into the bill, and while it is a complex piece of legislation, I would appeal to all Dáil colleagues to get behind it. I think the time is here for us all to wear the green jersey. In Britain, the ground continues to shift in terms of what direction Brexit will take, and in many respects we are spectators as the drama unfolds. Yet while the divisions are clear in the United Kingdom, I must say the European Union has shown a united front during the negotiations, and members have reinforced the position that the fundamentals of the backstop are beyond amendment. The backstop is something that the Government hopes will never be used, and we can only hope that the upcoming votes in the UK House of Parliament will lead to an agreed deal rather than a disorderly departure. In terms of my own responsibilities, I am satisfied that all that can be done in the Departments of the Rural and Community Development and the Departments of Communications, Climate Action and Environment have been done. In particular, the Department of Rural and Community Development funded programmes and schemes that are vital for the support of our urban and rural communities in terms of managing the impact of Brexit. Its uncertainty and potential impact on local economies and communities reinforces the importance of building sustainable and resilience within communities. We must build greater flexibility. Into our funding programmes to respond effectively to the emerging needs. In that respect, the Department is committed to a strategic review of its funding priorities, and this is key consideration where there is an orderly Brexit or no deal at all. And as I have stated, the impacts of Brexit are uncertain, but we are preparing and are supporting our regions which may be adversely affected. We are conscious in particular of the consequences of a disorderly Brexit on rural communities, where agriculture in particular is likely to be majorly impacted. Right now, more than 15% of Irish goods and services exports are destined for the UK market, but this becomes a much higher figure in the agricultural food sector, where an average of 40% of exports are to the UK. Wherever there is greatest need, we will act. And I very much welcome the commitment shown by my colleague, the Minister for Agriculture, who has been unequivocal in his willingness to offer significant and substantial support to all aspects of our agricultural industry, including those facing the most acute threats from Brexit. In particular, in my own constituency of Galway East, beef is a major part of the agricultural business there, and I think it's important that we create resilience for the beef trade. Agriculture is the lifeblood of our rural communities, and we have already shown commitment to support our farmers with a variety of pre-Brexit measures, in particular for the beef industry. However, it is equally important that we explore the new options and new markets as a way of ensuring ourselves against our reliance on trade with only a narrow range of partners. And in particular, I think it's important that we look to the rest of Europe, and we look to Asia, we look to China for further markets. And 2 years ago, when I was on a trade mission to China, we were negotiating the beef trade with them, and I'm delighted to see that that has opened up. We need to explore more of these markets to make sure that we have other markets for our beef and that we continue to thrive as one of the best producers of beef in the world. We're also seeking commitments and financial support from Europe to offset economic impacts that Britain may bring. Europe has also provided support to our communities in terms of the LEADER funding, and we have been able to use that funding for Brexit contingencies. And for example, last October we broadened the eligibility of the 15 million LEADER fund for small food businesses to help them in the post-Brexit challenges. In my role as chairman of the task force on the implementation of the Atlantic Economic Corridor, I know full well the impact that Brexit can have on the west of Ireland, and in particular in the rural areas. So the Atlantic Economic Corridor provides us with a forum on which we will build resilience and also work together for the common good of the region. It is a target of the programme for government that we reach balanced development in this country, and I think the Atlantic Economic Corridor takes on a huge role going forward in ensuring that we do this. Counties from Kerry right the way up as far as Donegal are important drivers in our regional balanced development, and I think that we need to push on with the Atlantic Economic Corridor, and I take on that task. We need to create better connectivity, and in particular I was pleased with the comments this morning by our Taoiseach in relation to the national broadband. If we are to be resilient in rural Ireland, we need to have connectivity. We need to make sure that we have fibre to the home for every home. We need to do that in a way that is fair and equitable, and that nobody is left behind. And even more so, that challenge is there for us now with the advent of Brexit. And no matter what form it comes, we need to make sure that we have that connectivity which will make business better, more resilient and more efficient right throughout the country. The Western Development Commission will also play a major part in development in the west of Ireland. And again, under our department, we have granted them more funding to make them more Brexit resilient and to develop more jobs in the west of Ireland. Again, the regional assemblies are right now preparing their strategic plans for the next 5 years, and I think it's important, and I know that they are preparing that by including Brexit issues and making sure that, again, we deal with the issues now and deal with them in a way that we will be able to plan for the future. The National Development Plan, which has so much money allocated for the next 10 years, 110 million, I think it's important that we make sure that that funding is flexible and that it can adapt to the changing needs that will come up over the next number of years. I think it's also important to state that transport connectivity, our airports, and again our infrastructure development to make sure that we have connectivity with Europe directly. This is in a way that we can make sure that we get our TEN-T maps back to where they were, and to ensure that we are in a position to draw down whatever funding is required. And in particular, I'm talking about the Western region, the Western Rail Corridor, the roads and infrastructure in the West, which need to be developed in order to make sure that we reach our full potential. And talking about potential, I think it's very important to state that as the only English-speaking nation that we've left in the European Union post-Brexit, we need to harness that potential to make sure that we become the anchor for the world to reach Europe. And that is something we can do very easily by making sure that our embassies around the world, which they're doing at the moment, are selling Ireland as the place to come in order to be introduced to Europe. And I was in Barcelona at the weekend at the Global Telecoms Showcase, and there I saw 27 Irish companies on the stands showing their products, doing business with the rest of the world. And I think that's the type of forum we need to have to make sure that Ireland remains as a strong leader in everything such as the digital age. By doing that, we will reach our full potential within Europe. And I met with some of the ministers from the other EU countries there, and again, they are totally behind us in everything we do. And I think we have that support. We have European support. I think we have the support of the people in this country 100%, and all politicians, to make sure that the biggest challenge that has ever faced us in this country is met head on, and that we do it in a unified way. And I look forward to working with my government colleagues to ensure that that happens, and with everybody in the House. Thank you.